Okay, so we're on to 7.1 part 3. This is where you get to officially start doing proofs. So again, these are only the 4 rules we have. We have modus ponens, modus tollens, hypothetical syllogism, and disjunctive syllogism. As of right now, these are the only 4. And we go on to 7.2, we'll add 4 more, so we'll have 8 rules to play with then. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing the first couple for you, and then I'm going to do some more complicated ones to help you out overall. And then you will do the ones in between. Okay, so the first one, we are given not C, horseshoe, if A then C, and the second is not C. And this little line here tells me this is what they want me to derive. This is the conclusion they want me to get. And I get to use the 4 rules in order to get that. Honestly, I think of this as a game. And I know some of you are like, no, but just think of it this way. As of right now, these are your rules. And the game is using 1, 2 premises, get not A as your conclusion. Okay, probably not going to be on your app store anytime soon, but it's a fun game. Okay, so looking at line 1 and 2, we have the repetition of the antecedent. So we know we can go ahead and use modus ponens. You have not C, so then we get if A, then C, and we're going to use line 1 and 2, and we're going to use modus ponens. And then if we look at this, we can see it with line 2 and 3. We have the negation of the consequent for line 3, which means that we get the negation of the antecedent if we use lines 2 and 3, and we use modus tollens. And we won the game. They wanted us to get not A using the rules. Bam. We got it. And that's also how you know you're done. So these are going to be small at the beginning, but as we move forward, they're going to get much longer. Always keep your conclusion in mind because, yeah, I've done it where I've kept working and realized later I already had the conclusion. So just keep that in mind. I know you guys are probably laughing at me now, but just wait till you're there. Okay, so let's look at number 2. So right away, the first 2 lines are jumping out at me, mainly because the first line is a disjunction. So I know if I get either side a negation of a disjunction, I get the entire thing. I get the other side, sorry. So I have F, now I have not F. So I know I can get if D, then T from 1 and 2 DS. So just a reminder here, we're down here. See how you have P, and then you have not P, then you get Q. You could also get not Q and then pull down P. It's just the same form, the same structure. That's what you're looking for. Okay? So now we have if D, then T. So let's pull together line 3 and 4, and then we'll get T using modus ponens. Okay? So remember, whenever you get the antecedent of a conditional statement, then you get to pull down the consequent. And again, we know we are done because they link up. We are done. Okay? Let's look down here. So now we know that, again, line 1, we have a disjunction, and we also have the negation of one side of it. It's a little bit bigger this time, but still the same thing, right? We have K dot B, and then we have negation K dot B. So we can still use DS. So we'll do L to E, and we're going to use line 1 and 2, and we're going to use DS. Okay, and now we're going to look at line 3 and 4. And we have the negation of the consequent, which means we get to negate the antecedent. So we'll get not L, and we're going to use line 3 and 4, modus tollens. And we know we're done. Bam. Okay, let's do 4 here. So our goal here is if G, then E. Okay, so we already know the odds are this is going to be our last step because it's the only one that gives us a conditional. Okay, so first of all that stands out to me is line 1 and 3. So I have the antecedent, therefore I get the consequent. So 1 and 3, modus ponens. And then line 2 and 4, same concept. We're going to get T, then E, with 2 and 4, modus ponens. And now that I'm looking at it, I see that I have G to E and the repetition of T. So we'll do 5 and 6 HS. And we won. Okay, so now you would do 5 through 20, I believe. Yes. So I'm going to do a few of the harder ones towards the end to help you out. This should help you get through all of them. Okay, so with 21, it may look a little bit more complicated, but it's still the same concept. So looking at line 1 and 4, we know we can use modus ponens. Okay, it doesn't matter how big it is, because if you look at this is your main operator. Not B, then all of that garbage. So not B is the antecedent. If I get not B, I get all that other stuff. Okay, so then you get if A, then K to B, or not K. Okay, and that's going to be line 1 and 4, modus ponens. Okay, so now we're going to have to figure out how to get that A out of there. Okay, so that's kind of the goal here, because we need a not A. And the A right now is buried in there, and the A is buried over there as well. So if we look at line 2 and 3, it does have the repetition of not J. So that means we could pull out if A, then K, because here is that's what I'm pulling out. So it's going to be 2 and 3 HS. Okay. And if you'll notice, now we have if A, then K. We have if A, then K. So now on the next line, I'm just going to use modus ponens, and I'm going to pull that out. So I'm going to use 5 and 6 modus ponens, because I have the antecedent. That's all I need. So now I have B or not K. Okay, so now I have a disjunction, so I'm looking for the negation of one of these, and I'm seeing that line 4 gives me not B. So if I have not B, the negation of B, then that means I have not K. So I'll use line 4 and 7, and we'll use DFs. Okay, now let's make certain we know what we're doing here. So we need not A, and we now have not K. So these two lines are looking good. So we have the negation of the consequent, which means that we get the negation of the antecedent. So we're going to get not A. We're going to use 6 and 8 modus tollens. And even though they're getting a little bit harder, the concept is the same. Okay, let's go over one last one. So we have not C as our goal. We've got all kinds of C's up there, so we'll have to figure out how to do this. First of all, what's coming to mind is 2 and 4, basic modus ponens. We'll get N to M, 2 and 4, modus ponens. And now we're going to step back and look at it. I'm seeing a repetition of N with 4 and 5. So let me see if I can make it look a little bit clearer for you. So this is line 4, this is line 5. You can see the repetition of N, which means that we can take out if C, then M via HS. So let's do that and see what that'll give us. So 4, 5, HS. Okay, now that gives us line 1 with modus ponens. Okay. So now we're going to use 1 and 6. Modus ponens. So now we have if N, then P. It looks like we're going to need a if C, then P, because we need that not M right there. Okay, so if we have a if C, then P, that's our goal right there. So now we're going to look up here and see which two can we actually combine together and make this actually work. So these two, 6 and 7, do have C and P in them, but N and M, that's not going to help us out. We need the repetition of something there. So let's see, we got a C up there, we got a P. Okay, so let's look at line 4. If C, then N. And let's look at line 7. If N, then P. Yeah, I think that's going to work, right? So we got the repetition of N. We got C, then P. And that's exactly what we wanted. Okay. So let's do that. Let's take line 4 and take line 7. And we'll get C to P. And, 4, 7, HS. And now that we have if C, then P, now we'll go up to line 3, and we'll get our not M. So 3 and 8. Modus ponens. And now that we have our not M, we're going to apply that to line 6, and that'll give us our not C. So 6 and 9, we're going to use modus tollens. Okay? So these are seriously just little puzzles. That's the way I've always thought of these. And it's just a matter of seeing what you need and how you're going to get it. And that's why we did part 1 and part 2 to help you out. Okay, I hope that helps.